when I was running the bases, I can describe that feeling because that's unforgettable. So I'm very excited and very happy.
All right, guys, I'm going to need you to take a second before we get into this because what happened today at the World Baseball Classic was genuinely one of the best days of baseball I have watched in a long, long time. We are talking about two games that both, for completely different reasons, did exactly what international baseball is supposed to do. The first game, Italy continuing what is honestly one of the most feel-good runs in this tournament's entire history, taking down Puerto Rico 8-6 to a perfect 5-0. The second game was Venezuela versus Japan, and oh my God, guys, this game, I'll just say this right now and we'll build to it. That was the game of the tournament. Best game we've seen, and the defending champion Japan, three-time WBC winners, the only team that had reached the semifinals at every single WBC going all the way back to 2006, are done. Venezuela pulled off one of the most electric upsets in this tournament's history, 8-5, and by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why Monday's semifinal between Italy and Venezuela might be the most entertaining matchup nobody saw coming when this tournament started 2 weeks ago. But before we get into it, guys, thank you so much on our road to 50,000 subscribers. If you're not already, please subscribe, turn notifications on. We're obviously doing a giveaway for MLB The Show 2026. If you have those things done, comment in the comment section, hashtag the show, and we're gonna be handing out a couple copies on our next uploads. Also, YouTube algorithms is kind of crazy these days for small creators, so if you do like my videos, subscribe because you really might not see them again. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into this. So going into today's game in Houston, Italy was undefeated at 4-0. They had beaten USA, Mexico, two other pool opponents, and they had done it in style. 12 home runs in their first 4 games, an espresso shot in the dugout after every dinger, a manager in Francisco Cervelli who moved to Italy last year and opened an actual baseball academy in Tuscany, and a captain in Vinny Pasquantino who spent Thanksgiving Day last year in his living room sending Instagram DMs to every Italian-American baseball player he could find, trying to recruit them for this team. This is genuinely how this roster was built. Instagram DMs on Thanksgiving. And that team is now in the WBC semifinals. I love baseball so much. Now, Puerto Rico came in as a legitimate threat. They had Edwin Diaz closing games, one of the nastiest closers alive. They'd gone 3-1 in pool play, and let's be real, a lot of people expected Puerto Rico to be the team to finally stop Italy's run. And for about 30 seconds of the first inning, it looked like they might, because Willie Castro led off the bottom of the first with a home run off Italy starter Marco Allegri. And the Puerto Rico fans in Houston absolutely went crazy. But then Italy was like, no, not happening, guys. They scored 4 runs in the bottom of the first and then continued to add on. Next thing you knew, it was 8-2, just like that. But Puerto Rico didn't go down quietly, because in the 8th inning, they loaded the bases with nobody out and scored 4 runs without a single extra base hit. Wild pitch, hit by pitch, walks, singles, manufactured chaos. All of a sudden, the game was 8-6, but Italy did hold. They ended up winning 8-6, continuing their undefeated streak straight into the semifinals for the first time in history, by the way. And in the clubhouse, they were drinking wine again. Pasquantino noted that the bottles have gotten more expensive with every win. The first ones were around $20, but now they're more than triple that. As he said, quote, there were some special bottles of wine today. And the reason this is so amazing is because Italy obviously isn't known to be a baseball producing country. And yet, through this tournament, people in Italy, a country, again, where baseball barely exists at this level, are watching their team in a World Baseball Classic semifinal. They're screaming at their TVs. This is exactly what this tournament is about. That is why this matters. And there are still people out there trying to say that the WBC doesn't mean anything. I don't understand. Now, I do want to acknowledge this because it came up. There are critics who say Italy is not really Italy because most of the roster is Italian Americans who have never lived in the country. And the players have heard that. Pasquantino addressed it directly. Quote, I know there's a lot of people that are upset that we represent Italy being Italian American, but I take so much pride in it because it is my roots. My family came over for a better life to America. Andrew Fisher literally has a Frank Sinatra tattoo on his arm. These are guys feeling their heritage in a way they maybe never expected to. And I love that. That's the World Baseball Classic doing what it's supposed to do. You can debate roster eligibility rules all you want, but you cannot debate that what's happening with this Italian team right now is special. The espresso machine still has shots left in it, and they're heading to Miami. Okay, I've been building to this since we started, and I want to give it the space it deserves because this game was everything. Everything the World Baseball Classic promises. Everything baseball fans around the world tune in for. And the way it started, honestly, the first inning alone was worth the price of admission. Japan was coming in as the defending champion, the only team in history that had reached the semifinals at every single WBC, and they had Yoshinobu Yamamoto starting, the reigning World Series MVP, the best pitcher in Japan's rotation, a guy who had been lights out for the Dodgers over the last 2 seasons. Venezuela obviously had Ronald Acuna Jr., Luis Arias, Gleyber Torres, Jackson Chourio, Eugenio Suarez, a lineup loaded with talent. But on paper, Japan was the favorite. And then the second pitch of the game, Ronald Acuna Jr. drove a Yamamoto 96-mile-an-hour fastball straight to right center for a leadoff home run. And guys, the crowd energy at these games has been unbelievable. I have never seen anything like it from fans and from the players, and it is so fun to watch. But before the Venezuela fans could even finish celebrating, Shohei Ohtani does what Shohei Ohtani does and hit his own crush of a home run off Ranger Suarez to dead center. Now, Venezuela went back up 2-1 in the second on back-to-back doubles from Tovar and Torres. Japan then answered in the third when Morishita, only playing because Seiya Suzuki got hurt in the first, hit a 2-run homer of his own to put Japan up 3-2. And it felt like Japan was about to take control. And then out of nowhere, Venezuela hits back with a Miguel Garcia, Acuna's cousin, hitting a 2-run blast in the fifth to narrow the gap. And then the moment the entire stadium will remember, 6th inning, Wilyer Abreu crushes a 3-run home run off Japan's Soromura Award winner, their equivalent of the Cy Young. Venezuela dugout went absolutely nuts.
Instead, he'll give Venezuela the lead. Gone!
I mean, guys, that energy. Venezuela's bullpen then went on to retire 13 straight Japanese batters to keep the door shut. Boom, Venezuela 8-5, Japan eliminated. And let me put into perspective how big this is. This is, again, Japan's worst finish in the entire history of the World Baseball Classic. They were the only team to reach semifinals at every edition. They were the defending champions. And Venezuela, who got blown out by the Dominican Republic in pool play and entered this game as the underdog, answered big. They came back, they hit back harder when Japan punched them, and they are going to the semifinals for the first time since 2009. Oh, and as a bonus, that win also clinches Venezuela a spot in the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. So yeah, pretty big night for Venezuela. All right, guys, so the stage is set. Monday night in Miami, 8 p.m. Eastern on FS1 at Lone Depot Park. Italy takes on Venezuela in the second WBC semifinal. And I want to be honest about something. When this tournament started, I don't think anybody, and I mean anybody, had this semifinal on their bracket. Italy versus Venezuela for a spot at the WBC final. Two teams that, for very different reasons, were considered long shots to get this far. So let's start with Italy because their story entering the semifinal is almost absurdly good. They're 5-0. They have beaten the United States, which has the greatest collection of American baseball talent ever assembled. They beat Mexico, then knocked out Puerto Rico. Italy is now walking into Miami with the confidence of a team that has stared down every opponent and came out the other side. Italy hit 12 home runs in their first 4 games, and they can win in more ways than just home runs. They are deeper than people give them credit for. Now, the challenge is Venezuela, and Venezuela is a very different animal than anyone Italy has faced so far. Arias is a hitting machine. Acuna has been pure electric. Gleyber Torres, Jackson Chourio, Eugenio Suarez. This lineup is a gauntlet. And after tonight, their confidence is at an all-time high. I mean, they just beat Japan. They just eliminated the champ. They have nothing to fear from anyone at this point, and they know it. The pitching question for Venezuela, though, is real. Ranger Suarez, who started against Japan, gave up every single Japan run they scored. He was fine. He held the team together long enough, but he's not the dominant force that gives you comfort. And their bullpen, while it was sensational against Japan, has to do it again in 48 hours against a very different Italian offense. For Italy, the question is who starts on the mound. They have Greg Weiser, who has been the silent hero this entire run. Aaron Nola started earlier, and we're gonna have to wait to see. No, my honest prediction for Monday is I think Venezuela wins. They are the better team, and I'm not gonna say push over to Italy. Their story has been amazing, but when you look at the Venezuelan lineup, it is stacked and it is dangerous, and I do believe believe they will get to Italy's pitching and knock this game open. And so that's it, guys. The semifinals are set. Dominican Republic versus USA with Paul Skeens on Sunday. Italy versus Venezuela on Monday. Then we have the championships on Tuesday. This has been an incredible tournament, and these next 2 games are unbelievably stacked. So let me know who you guys think are going to win. I have Venezuela and USA obviously going to the final, but what do you guys think? But that's all for today, guys. I'll see you on the next one.